Hi Canuck Capsuleers, I'm Damsnal, the co-CEO of Story in Advance, an alliance in Wormhole, LowSec, and ISEC. I'm also the co-host of the Canuck Capsuleers Chronicles. It's a weekly show about AIM's news every Tuesday at 2015 Eastern Time Zone. In the beginning of the series about the Caldari State, in the first episode, we talked about the Caldari as a militaristic, corporate-run meritocracy who regard honor and duty to be the highest ideals one can aspire to. It's gonna be 5 episodes about them. First, we're gonna go through their history, then their mega corporations, their political structure, their culture and society, and the last one gonna be about growing up into Caldari State. Please keep in mind that I'm doing that podcast to get better in English. So I'm sorry in advance. Caldari State. The Caldari State is an Arthurian militaristic nation found in the pillars of duty, loyalty, efficiency, and hard work. While not as large a society as that of the Galante or the Amor, the state is still universally respected and admired. Its economy is fundamentally sound and its military, despite its smaller size, is fully equal to that of any other empire, thanks to a well-kept fleet backed with cutting-edge technology. A nation built on corporate capitalism, the Caldari State is run by a group of 8 mega corporations who divide territory between themselves, controlling and overseeing nearly every aspect of society. Each corporation comprises of thousands of smaller companies, ranging from industrial companies to law firms. All real estate is owned by the companies, which then leaves it to the citizens. Government and policing are also both handled by independent companies funded by each of the mega corporations. History. Before the founding of the state, the Caldari were not a singular entity. Like the Galante neighbor, they were composed of different races on different continents across Caldari Prime. Although the bulk of the population was located on the Tikiona continent, Tikiona was united between AD 1753 and AD 20,988 under the Ra'ata Empire, with existing ethnicities at the time organized into political entities in the form of houses. First contact. The term Caldari was coined after first contact with the Galante in AD 22,517 as a planetary identifier used to distinguish the race of their own world from those of their newfound partners. By this point, each Caldari race was organized into its own fully fledged nation on Caldari Prime, with minimal to no cross-ethnic mingling. The boundaries between these ethnicities were profound, not only in physical appearance, but also culturally, with the Caldari's concept of nation differing vastly from the Galante's definition, the latter of which tend to be built around ideology rather than race or culture. Even when the mega corporations secretly colonized regions of space on behalf of their master nations, the Caldari continued to identify by their original ethnicity. This practice continued after the founding of the Federation, and it was not until the secession of the Caldari in AD 23,154 that the situation changed, when the chief executive panel usurped control of the home world from the indigenous nations. All who supported the secession were swept along in the following social upheaval. Corporate state. As the all-encompassing corporate state came into being, the Caldari psyche and society were shaped into new forms. The Details and Severe were deeply affected by these changes and modeled to the norm. Other ethnicities, including the Galante, who had long been residents of the Caldari homeworld, were brought into the fold, where all are now identified as one race. Influenced by the Sikuyu Vesta Corporation, a people known as the Ashura decide to join the Caldari in their secession as a client state. Their pre-industrial Ashura Empire, which had been discovered by the Sikuyu Vesta during their secret colonization many decades prior, was uprooted and replaced by minority Caldari rule. This mostly affected major population centers, which were developed to become full cities according to the Caldari standard. The rural areas were mostly in Europe, dotted with thousands of Ashura monasteries, which to this day preserve the culture and heritage of the Ashura Empire. Some, of course, were displaced for industrial operations where they were located on valuable land. But for the most part, Ashura who had not been assimilated remained reclusive and introverted, cut off from the state as a whole and for the most part untouched by its influence. It was only at the beginning of the Capsuleer era that the Ashura acquired interstellar recognition, as many of them discovering a natural aptitude sought out Capsuleer training. Interstellar War. Over the course of the Galantes-Caldari War, militant fringe group of Kentucky, experienced military personnel in particular, sympathized with the state and asked to join the Caldari Navy. Wary of the fact that the Kentucky had a very different culture to the Caldari, but still pragmatic enough to realize the military and political benefits of enlisted turncoat veterans, Caldari officers placed these Kentucky in segregated divisions. The most famous of these forces was commanded by Mordu's Legion, founder from Maria Mordu, who led his division to its status as one of the most successful, revered and battle-hardened units of the war. At the end of the war, many of these Kentucky were offered cheap land and accommodation in Washi City on Canuck 4. Though those ones who had abandoned their cultural heritage and fully integrate into the Caldari lifestyle had long since become full citizens. Due to the fact that these Kentucky continue to maintain their separate identity in distinct ways, their presence caused tension with native Caldari, especially xenophobic radicals who feed on the aggressive foreign policy of the state. A significant number of the Kentucky facing expatriation sought assistance from their former commander, Maria Mordu. A turn of events which would later lead to the formation of Mordor's Legion, one of the most legendary mercenary groups in New Eden's history. In the end, the Entaki were able to resettle in Washi City while retaining their identity and culture. Provist Regime. The meteoric rise to power of Tibu's head and the Caldari Providence Directorate (CPD) in YC 110 again put emphasis on ethnic identity regardless of cultural compliance, the two being defined as synonymous with one another by the Provist government. Hundreds of thousands of Federation expatriates were quarantined and unlawfully incarcerated, or in some instances deported across state borders. While first-state citizens of Galante origin found themselves on the violent end of angry mobs. Present day. Today, the Caldari State is built on the cornerstones of patriotism and hard work that carried its ancestors through the hardship of living on an inhospitable, barren home world. That's the end of the first episode of the Caldari State. That's gonna be really interesting. Caldari are so different than Amor. They are based on honor and duty. They don't look like to have any god. They have also mega corporations that I can't wait to learn about. And what are the odds? That's gonna be the next episode. I hope you like this one and see you next week, Canucks and friends.